Alright, so today we're going to be finding the amount of vertical change per unit of horizontal change from 2 points. Let's take a look here. First, we're going to have to find our change in y. Okay. Remember, we have x, y, and change is always end minus beginning. And we're going to be going in this direction today. So that is -6 minus -19. See, -6 minus -19 is the same as -6 plus 19. So that gives us a positive. It's 6 below, the temperature climbs 19 degrees. That leaves us with a positive 13. So that's 13 units of upward movement. Our change in x is going to be our ending x minus our beginning x, 20 minus 13, which equals 7. And then our change in x, our change in y per unit of change in x. So change in y divided by change in x is just 13 over 7, which we could turn into a decimal, but it would be an ugly decimal, so we'll just leave it as a fraction. All right, next up, again, xy, xy. We're going to start with our change in y. It's our ending y minus our beginning y. So -8 minus -8. Well, one thing to think about here, if I have 8 negatives and I take away 8 negatives, I have nothing left. Or you can think if I have -8 and I subtract a -8, subtracting a -8 is the same as adding -8. So -8 plus 8, or I'm sorry, subtracting -8 is the same as adding +8. So -8 plus +8, 0 to cancel each other out. All right, our change in x is going to be -13, our ending x, minus our beginning x, so minus 19. If it's 13 below, and we take another 19 away, let's see, if it were 13 below, and we took another 20 away, that'd be 13, 23, 33, but we didn't quite take 20 away, so it's only -32. So our change in y over change in x equals 0 over -32. Notice that -32 means it's 32 units to the left. We started at -19, which is a positive number, and we went way to the left, -13. So first of all, you don't want to leave this negative sign down in the denominator, but second of all, you have a 0 in the numerator. So 0 pizza divided by 32 people, right, positive or negative people, is always going to be 0 pizza per person. If, however, this weren't a 0, I would just move the negative sign out front or up top. Because it doesn't make much sense to say I had, for example, 10 pizzas divided among -32 people. What's -32 people? Okay? Makes more sense to keep the negative up in the numerator or out front of the fraction. Just consider good form. Okay. Here we have xy, xy. We've got our change in y, which is, we ended at 6, ending y minus beginning y, 6 minus 3, which equals 3. And our change in x is equal to 8 minus 8, which is 0. So then we have our change in y over change in x is 3 over 0. Now, a lot of people would be tempted to say, oh, that's 0, just like it was 0 up here. But this is a different scenario. It's like saying I have 3 pizzas, and I'm going to divide them among no people. How much of the no people, how much pizza does each of the no people get? This question doesn't make any sense. There are 3 pizzas. I can't divide them among 0 people. It just doesn't make sense. So a lot of people say, whoa, nobody gets any pizza. Well, but there's still 3 pizzas. Where do they go? Right? So 3 divided by 0 is called undefined. Okay? You can't divide by 0. It's a no-no. It's called undefined. It also means that this line segment here from 8,3 to 8,6, notice it rises 3 units from 8,3 to 8,6, but its x-coordinate doesn't change at all. So essentially, this is a vertical segment. This would be 8,6 this would be 8, 3, straight up and down. All right, so over here we have change in y. So we're going from xy to xy. Our change in y is our ending y minus our beginning y, so -2 minus 8. Well, if I'm 2 below and I drop another 8, I'm at -10, so that's 10 units of downward movement. And our change in x is our ending x minus our beginning x, so -9 minus, careful here, a -14. See, if I'm 9 below and I subtract a negative, so I'm taking away 14 negatives from 9 negatives, you could think of it that way. Well, I take away my first 9 negatives and I have 5 left over, so that turns into 5 positive. Or you could think of it as subtracting a negative is the same as adding a positive. If I'm 9 below and I go up by 14 units, I'm at +5. So that means that we moved essentially 5 units forward. We started at -14, we ended up at -9. Still our position's overall negative, but we're 5 units forward from where we started, to the right. Alright, so then I have delta y over delta x. And let's see, that would be -10 over 5, which we could reduce. Divide numerator and denominator both by 5. And we get -2 over 1, which is simply -2. Alright? Be sure to check your answers before you're done. Have fun.